rewatched episode 50.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, what is this? Right? Like, because it felt worse than it was. As
It sure felt funny.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but it wasn't bad.
Cool.
No.
Like
It wasn't outlandish. Let's say that.
How much did you edit out?
Nothing.
Yeah,
Really?
Nothing needed to be taken. There's
Okay,
only like
great.
one thing that was weird, and I felt like it was like before we were even in it. So
Yeah,
that
I
was
know.
just us being weird.
Even though there's a very obvious, like, the camera stopped section, but I didn't edit it.
Oh, yeah,
No,
whatever.
Yeah, and other than that one little thing I told you about the other day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, wow, we weren't really that strange.
No.
And what's interesting when you're in that state is you kind of feel like you're being strange and that everything is strange. Because like when I'm looking at Scott and his face is like kind of like really defined.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
And like
That
it feels like
extra sensory
everyone's-
perception, where like, I can see every pore on your
Yeah.
face right
yeah,
now.
like it was like just everything is more distinct, and there's like a weird sliding effect that's happening, and everyone seems to be talking faster, but you're not actually.
No, you're not actually.
And I was consciously aware that we're not actually talking faster. It really feels like we are, though.
Yeah, you kind of lose time a little bit. Your relationship to time goes away. So
little
it's like
bit.
things kind of speed up or
I had
slow
a
down. Or
relative track of like, if we talked about these topics this long, it must be this time, like, because we've been going for a while.
Yeah.
That's all I could tell. But like when I said what 2.5 hours and we were at 2,
Yeah.
I think that's what I said.
Yep.
Because I was like, this has been a long podcast.
Yeah.
And watching it back, I felt it. It's like,
pushing through a podcast that length really makes me feel for like the Rogans and Lexes out there who regularly do these 3-hour podcasts at the time. It feels like a marathon. At the end of a 2-hour and 38-minute podcast, I was like, I am exhausted.
Easier in their case because you're giving a lot away with we're talking to the same people every week, right?
Yeah,
That's true. And they build endurance too.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, it's a muscle.
When we were doing an hour and a half, hour 45, 2 hours every week, we had no problem pulling it off.
But imagine this: like, you meet someone new every week,
Yeah.
or a couple times a week. And it's
Someone
like,
with this long
Yeah.
repertoire of accomplishments and
Now,
expertise
yeah,
and
that-
skills.
depending on like how different they are from you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's 8 questions you have from the get-go, and you can pick all of those apart.
And each of those 8 questions has a 25-minute answer.
Yeah, exactly. If you're gonna walk it around and
Here's something that I find difficult, though, or I would find difficult if I was in his shoes. So, like, for Joe Rogan, every day is kind of like, it's a day. But for most people going on Joe Rogan, this is life-changing.
oh, I know they're
Yeah.
always so excited.
Yeah. And, like, what if he's having a bad day?
Right?
What if he just doesn't want to be there?
Well,
What
I
if
feel
his
like-
kids were like acting fools before he left? Like, what's like the human side of that? Like, how do you stay in that thing?
There are days where instead of interviewing well, he kind of tears people apart
yeah, that's
and
fair.
pushes his own opinion. And those are the days
Yeah,
I think
he
he
has
like
his-
left the
Having a
house
tough
in a
day.
fucking
His,
hot, you know?
like pissy moments.
Right. Yeah.
But like, I think it's the same thing as like if I've had a bad morning, I don't take it to work. Right. So I'm thinking he's got a detachment from it where he's the character when he's talking. So like it does penetrate some part of his personal life, but there's a line there. Like there's probably a
Yeah.
line that we don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
That's same as tattooing. Just like 2 days ago, I had this underboob sternum piece, and those are always super hard to stencil. And I started the day kind of like dreading putting this damn stencil on, and it's already been a busy week. And so I walk in, I'm like, yep, as many tries as we need to do, let's do this. My customer voice was on.
Yeah.
I'm like interacting as if like everything's rainbows and lollipops, even though I'm like, why did I say yes to this tattoo? I don't want to do this. But here we are. Let's go. We're going to make this perfect, lady.
Well, we have this weird way of thinking, like, that if it's fake, it's bad.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so, like, say you have a customer service person who's got a really high-pitched voice and they're way too friendly, and you're like, oh, this person's fake. It's like, yeah, they're trying to be good at their job.
Yeah, they're also just doing
Right?
their job.
Yeah, like, but, like, why is that a bad thing?
Well, it's so disingenuous. We things like with that we don't particularly like because it's pretty close to lying.
It
But,
is.
like the thing is, it's not for the person doing it; it's for the other person.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like if he's doing this happy-go-lucky sales thing, of the stencil. That's not for him. That's for her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those like,
and
he might be lying technically in terms of like how stoked he is on this.
What is he supposed to tell her though? I really don't want to do this tattoo. I hope you have a bad time because I will.
That would be for him then. It's like, I don't like this.
The bigger danger.
Greetings.
The danger.
I don't want to tattoo you today.
I'm begrudgingly taking your money.
And then bitching the whole time.
Yeah. The big danger of avoiding is like one slight step deeper too. What I'm worried about first and foremost, is accidentally coercing a customer into saying that the placement is fine or the design is fine when it's really not.
Yeah.
Because that's the last thing I want to do is be that tattoo artist that like kind of nudge someone with my shitty attitude into getting the wrong tattoo
There's a way
or the
to do
wrong
that
placement.
pleasantly though.
Exactly.
I've had it done to me.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, this is a cool idea, but this version of it won't work.
That's
but
right.
I want to work with
yeah.
you, and we'll find a way to do this.
So if you come in a shitty mood, you've got to make sure that you're not accidentally coercing someone into getting the wrong tattoo.
Yeah,
because that's as bad as misspelling something. Like
Yeah,
we're not doing that. We're not playing that game.
the optics might not be as bad,
That's right.
but yeah, from an existential standpoint, you're giving them something they don't want at that point.
That's right.
Well, I mean, I had a consult with this girl the other day, and like, she had in the consult, she had like a couple tattoos on her, and she technically badmouthed two artists while talking about this new tattoo that she wants to get.
Yeah,
And they're both like, she put problems on them that I feel like they explained to her.
that's a bad consult.
Yeah, it was weird.
That happens a lot though.
It really does.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to form a bond with you by talking someone else down.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well,
and they're also explaining where they've had
you're
problems
gonna fix
before.
the problem,
They're
right?
explaining last time I did this and this and this, and this is what went wrong in the system. So
it's almost like they're talking to a doctor at that point. Like, you're going to make this better for me.
Yeah.
Well, like,
they're showing you how to keep them happy and how to avoid the same mistakes as their last artist.
but the difficult thing is that, you know, she was basically explaining that the artists had mentioned the potential issues that were going to come from it, and then she still wanted to go ahead with it.
Yeah.
And then it's all of a sudden now the artist's fault somehow that this is the way that it ended up.
That's a danger
Well,
customer.
I've heard that a lot.
Danger
where
client.
It's like,
I know.
well, I wanted this, but it didn't turn out good. But
Well,
you
that's
were
where-
told it didn't look good.
The thing that that she said that I knew wouldn't look good or would be an issue, I just flat out said no.
What was it she was looking for?
It's just placement. Like, she just wants to do this like dot work, leaf wrap thing around her arm.
Yeah.
And I'm fine to do it, but I'm not going to do it across a place that's going to cut off her arm in a way that limits her in the future, right? Because like, she wanted to go right across.
You don't
her
want this
portrait
thing
spot.
ending up on Remy Reacts.
Yeah, exactly. That's my nightmare. It's me just sitting there
And it's not like
shit talking to myself.
You've got like a viewer submission.
Exactly.
Oh,
This
man,
artist
I
should-
did this one.
Yeah. I did this one and it's terrible.
Oh, no. Remy Reacts Kevin edition.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. We should actually do that.
So I have
Scott
an
could do it.
exact.
Special
exact-
guest star, Scott.
Yay! I
Let's
get to
look at-
diss Kevin's tattoo
Let's
today.
look at this shit. But yeah, it was one of those like, I won't set her up to be like later in life go, yeah, you know, like but now I can't really, you know what I mean? Like then all of a sudden
You
it's
don't
like,
want to be the guy she's talking about next.
yeah, I don't want to be artist number 3.
Yeah.
That's doing that, and it's one of those like,
I went to see this guy Kevin at
Yeah.
Rocky Mountain. He didn't do a very good job.
and it's like I'm cool to do a tattoo as long as it's not going to create further problems for me later.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't need the smoke, man.
Do you ever go, when you're looking at a perspective tattoo, like, I guess it's a better question for you, but it will be a better question for you eventually.
Cool.
A new tattoo coming in, and you know that this person is probably getting more, and they've got an idea that they want, and you're like, you're already thinking down the road, how am I gonna continue this when they ask for more?
Yep.
Because this isn't a one-off. They think it is.
Yeah. We
But
see
this
that all
is
the
going
time.
to be a growing problem.
I'm always coaching my apprentice in that exact concept, because everyone walks in wanting her little tattoos this big, like
Yeah.
here and
in
here
pirate
and
spots.
here, and I'm telling her like, say no 3 times, and then if they keep asking you for it, then you can say yes. Least, then you can be like, okay, fine, we can go here. Once they tell you they have a plan. Until they tell you they have an actual plan, don't believe them.
Yeah.
They say they want it there. They just want a tattoo.
Yeah.
Put it on their damn ankle.
Well, that's it. That's so often what it is. It's not about the image for most. Like I say it all the time, but it's always just like, I want a tattoo.
So actually,
I don't know what I want.
Image.
I'll get people who ask me just randomly.
What should I get?
Oh, I'm thinking about getting a tattoo. Do you have any ideas? Why would I have an idea for you? I don't even have an idea for me. Like, it's hard enough for me to come up with my own idea half the time.
You should just say, black out your body.
Yeah, like, you want an idea?
That should be your answer to everybody.
You're looking for an experience.
Why don't you just black out
you
your
want
body?
to know what? Just black out a limb real quick.
Start with black out your palms. Just tell them that every time.
Yeah,
well,
black out your fingers.
What should I get, Remy?
Well.
Black out your palms.
If you're just looking for an experience,
you should start a trend.
Just go at it. Like, I'm not recommending go for blackout first, though.
Oh, you should.
It's just, I don't think I should.
That would be a shtick, and that would be hilarious.
What I would say is, like, most people are just looking for a justification to have the experience, right? Mm-hmm. So just get something you think looks cool if you don't have a great meaning to it. I'm not saying all tattoos are meaningless. There are some, even on me, that have lots of meaning. But, like, they don't all have to be.
Well,
God, no.
Like, even, like, I got tattooed by Ali yesterday.
Oh, and man.
I would have been fine to not look at it. Like, it was just one of those, like, whatever.
This is happening.
I got tattooed. I don't care.
Yeah, it was one of those, like, she was like, you want to go look in the mirror? I was like, yeah.
If you insist.
Sure.
It's happened.
I know it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's a tattoo. I know it looks like a rose. We're cool.
And proud because she's still young. And she's like, look at this cool thing I did. And you're like, eh.
Yeah.
It gets more and more like that the more you get. It's
I know.
You're just like, oh, well, that's done now.
Yeah.
When's my next one?
So on this subject, I did my first blackout last week, and I went so aggressive, like just as in terms of ground covered. And I'm so nervous to see it. It seems to have gone in great and went well, but I'm still so nervous to see it healed.
Well, the difficulty is even seeing it healed isn't enough.
Right.
Blackouts will they'll chip away over the next few weeks. Months, trust me.
Yeah.
That's also one of those
It's a really weird thing.
Because I'm interested to see how it works. Like, what did you use? Dynamic?
Yep, all the way.
I think the next one you should try, if you do another blackout, I think you should try Panthera.
Really?
Just because, like, the blackout guys seem to be going to Panthera, and they do this thing to the ink to treat it so it is more defensive to UV.
Really?
Yeah. That's why it has this, like, shimmer to it.
Okay.
It's kind of like shimmery grayness to it.
You got Panthera here, eh?
Yeah. I've got the one that they use, the XXX or whatever.
Okay.
And I'm interested to see if, like, a first pass of that and a first pass of Dynamic are in any way different.
So from what I've seen, it's almost the same.
But for, like, UV protection is all.
Like, I've seen one tattooer use both, and he did, like, a side-by-side arm comparison.
Yeah.
And what you're going to get is skin tone variation.
Right.
For the I'm sure that, like, how it sits in you throughout the years might be different.
And that's what I'd be more wondering.
Like I'm sure, like you said, the UV protection.
Yeah.
But, like, in terms of the black, like, the look of the black, it seems to be more based on your skin tone at some point. If you've got it in properly, it's all about a person's skin tone.
Well, the base pigment's the same. It's the transfer agents, like the things that they do to make the liquidness of the ink.
That's why I was harping on a couple weeks ago here the Blackwork Instagram models where they're looking as black as that desk, and I'm like, no,
you're not.
Don't fuck with me.
That's not how tattoos work, like in a scientific way.
It's not going to happen. Stop selling that image.
Well, but like Kim Kardashian, bro.
It's just, it's so disingenuous to prospective customers, though.
Yeah.
Because what if the guy or girl that gets blacked out by Scott goes, and I don't mean this last one, but I mean any new one in the future goes, I want a blackout tattoo. That looks great. And they're expecting to look like that desk.
Yeah.
And now they've got a human skin tone.
That's right.
And Scott has somehow ruined the work that was supposed to be so good.
Exactly.
Right? It is disingenuous. That's why I would never sit here and claim I haven't edited my photos, but all I do is like correction. That's it. I just make myself look like I would sitting here.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're outside and the sun is hitting you in some particular way,
You gotta turn some highlights down, dude. Yeah.
yeah, you've got to turn that down because I want it to look honest.
Yeah,
like I don't try and go. I want to look as black as I can.
But you still need some depth of the picture. It still needs to be a good photograph.
Exactly, it has to be a good photograph.
So with the bonus, I have some black work on me.
Yeah,
so at
black
least I
ground.
can kind of show. Yeah, black ground, exactly.
Yeah.
At least I can show that off and be like, hey, here's a realistic. Because this part was done by Ricky, so I can show them like, here's some professional, well done black work, and this is exactly what you can expect, right?
Yep, and it'll look cool with anything around it. Like I always say, the worst thing about what I've done is I get no contrast anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
contrast is dead.
The contrast is dead. It bothers me sometimes because the black used to look blacker next to other things.
Oh, I got laser.
Well, no, because like I still get it with my chest piece and stuff like that. But like on my
Kevin's like, I'll
legs,
build some contrast, boys.
it's,
I got contrast for days.
I think that
12 sessions will have you.
like if I had no tattoos, I probably would have done like maybe like some skin breaks for design. But I don't know what those designs would have been.
Well, and like you were covering a lot, right?
And your skin breaks would be just blast over looking.
Yeah.
Which you're going to end up with that kind of devil symbol from the Blackout in your memory access week.
Well, there's a guy that I have followed for years, and he's got a much smaller account than me. But he commented on one of my pictures not long ago, and I had like almost like a fanboy moment because like I don't look to people with huge followings like oh, that person has 1 million followers. I look at people with like amazing work, and I'm like, that person's been through even more shit than me, right? That's aspirational. You know what I mean?
You're seeing the actual journey.
Yeah, like this guy, his name is CX John, and almost all he posts is like piercing pictures because he's a professional piercer, right? High end. He does like really expensive jewelry installations.
That's going to be
know what I
in
mean?
like 2 years.
What's that?
It's going to be you in like 2 years.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But anyway, he has a full blackout bodysuit by a guy named I think it's Decol Como. He's French. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's one of the elite blackwork artists in the world. And his stuff, he uses Panther too, obviously. His stuff all looks uniformly very black and very smooth. But this guy's bodysuit, he's done a third layer on. He has like a whole body theme of like gray or silver or something over top of it in a specific design. And it works all through his arms, up across his chest, and on his chest it says evil.
Cool.
Like in a big, bold, like creative font. And then on his neck, he has a giant question mark. And there, you could see his old neck tattoos through the question mark.
No shit.
And in parts of his stomach, there's like some design that you can see his old work.
So,
too.
and these are cutouts from the Blackout.
Yep.
So it's areas that were
So
never
he had a
blacked out.
whole bodysuit like I did before.
Yeah.
Then you can see that he's blacked over most of it, but he's left some negative space, and you can see some of the old stuff through it. The question mark on the neck is like one of my favorite tattoos I've ever seen, just because it's so like enigmatic. Like there's
it's
just
an anti-tattoo.
There's
Very
no
cool.
explanation to it though either. Like it's just open to any interpretation you want, and you almost never see this guy on social media too. So when I see a picture of him, like that's a hero. Right, and because you know the amount of work he's gone through too to get to that point, and it's one of those if you know, you know.
He's a committed tattoo collector.
Yeah, but he's almost vacant.
Yeah.
I would like to do that eventually if I get piercing, like where I just show up now and then, because I'm way oversaturated now, and I'm getting, and I don't mean that ironically,
I mean,
but I mean like
sounds
I get
Sort of a double
sick of
entendre.
myself. Like seeing my own face on social media, not even just on my own page, but like you'll see someone will post me and a comment underneath always these days, I'm so sick of seeing this guy.
Really?
Yeah. I get it all the time, or I see it all the time now where people are like, yeah, I don't hate this guy, but man, could you stop posting him?
No shit.
Because I've been all over the place for so long.
yeah.
And I kind of like to get to a point where I can just not,
Crazy.
like, but I'm not there yet. Not for what I want, anyway. I mean,
it makes sense because it's like, you know, as a content creator, if I was one of those other pages that was like doing the repost of different things, you need to be reposting people that are consistent.
Trending,
because that makes
too.
your life easier, right?
trending.
Yeah, trending's
What's
huge.
trending? And this guy is always trending for the last almost 4 years.
Yep.
I've been trending. And so people will see I'll get a post that does 20,000 likes. A tattoo page will go, I'm posting that too.
Well, you'll stop trending as soon as you stop doing cool stuff. So stop doing cool stuff, and then you'll be good.
But I don't want to have to do that as. So I'd rather trend with my piercings eventually.
Fair.
Like this guy is much smaller, but it's a business ad at that point too, right? Like you go to his page and you see all these nice piercings that he's doing.
Once you're piercing in this town, you're gonna own the piercing industry in Southern Alberta. Like
In Alberta.
yeah, it's gonna be ridiculous.
Yep. You're not
Especially
wrong.
like if you can hang out in Kelowna more, get a little more of that high end experience from Jamie for doing some more of the.
Or from James. James is coming on board in the.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, and he would be a great person to learn from.
Here.
No, in Kelowna.
Oh, cool.
He's going
Wicked.
full time there in July, and he's he's absolutely dope.
Killer.
He's like a little bit more into the extreme end of things that you would like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Jamie doesn't really want to go into that type of stuff,
Mhm.
and James is like all about it. So
Only so many people want to get into that kind of
Let's
stuff.
pierce some dicks.
yeah, he does that.
Of course.
Yeah.
When you
there's
talk
a-
about
there's-
extreme
well,
piercing,
originally
where do I jump to?
that wasn't really extreme piercing. That was piercing at one point. It started
wild.
out. It started out
Why
that
would you
way.
start with the dick?
Well, because I think we gotten into this a little bit on the podcast.
we very
but a long time
briefly
ago.
touched on it, but
Yeah,
boom, boom.
piercings
Crazy.
was all about kinksters,
Yeah,
right? Like
right.
sexual pleasure and
Mm-hmm.
like stimulus, right? Seeing what you could pierce and what it would feel like.
Yeah, I guess over the last 15 years is when it's become fashion.
A little longer than that. It started in
Really, for but I'm talking like the bejeweled celebrities getting a conch piercing or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, that it's changed.
Yeah.
So it started in the early '90s with belly button piercings.
Yeah.
Which were
Oh, right.
never really done.
Yeah.
Like there's no real purpose for that. There's no pleasure to that.
No,
so
no.
it was like one of those.
It's just jewelry.
Exactly, because the kinksters wouldn't have visible piercings.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do eyebrow piercings and stuff like that.
Like Governor Cuomo.
Yeah, exactly. It was people like that. Lots of really highfalutin people.
Yeah.
Like wealthy people, lawyers, doctors, would have secret kinks, and that was part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would have nipple piercings and stuff. Like Jim Ward, who's one of the founders of modern piercing, would say that most of the people who got piercings weren't people like you and me. It was like you would go see your doctor. That guy's got his dick pierced. You know what I mean? Like it was just like people you wouldn't expect.
That's so wild.
But they wouldn't have visible piercings. Visible
Yeah.
piercings didn't really catch on until the 90s.
Except we're ear piercings, etc. Those are still always
Those are
around.
different. That's
yeah,
so
yeah.
like
Well, sort of.
ear piercings are piercings technically,
Yeah.
right? But they're not like when you're looking to make a statement
Yeah.
these days anyway, you don't go get an ear piercing. If you're a guy, maybe.
Sure.
Back in the 90s, even then, it
Yeah.
was still a problem.
Yeah,
but,
90s and 2000s, it was still the what side is it on?
But if you got a lip piercing
love it
or
when
an
it's
eyebrow
gone now.
piercing,
man.
That was so
it's
silly.
way more.
It really was.
Nope, I got a piercing, not expressing my sexuality via this piece of
Don't
jewelry.
get
Yeah.
your right ear pierced,
Yeah, right.
because that means you're a homo
Or is it
something.
your left ear? Huh?
Well, who knows?
Who knows?
It's whatever you want it to be.
It's whatever the high school kids say it is.
Yeah, kids are just dumb. And I say that being, I was a kid. I was dumb.
But yeah, no, when you get your eyebrow pierced, your lip pierced, you're doing it for more shock or more like, this is going to look really cool,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Ear piercing, it's like, oh, I got my daughter's ears pierced.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly. That's
mean?
what I
Like,
think of.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. It comes
Yeah.
from, it's the same thing coming from a different place, I
I
guess.
went to the mall and they shot a gun through an ear.
Yeah, no good.
It's traumatic.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, I know.
So anyway, yeah, this CX John, if you haven't never seen him before, he's worth a look. He's a very, very interesting looking character. He's one of my favorite tattooed people in the world, and almost no one's ever seen this guy, which is amazing to me. Because people think when they see me, I've had so many people go, well, you must be one of the most tattooed people in the world. And I know people who kind of humble me, where it's like, it's hard to do, but they're out
I was
there.
going to say, that's got to be few and far between at this point.
I don't see too many, but I
Once
do.
those palms are blacked out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there is a guy that's done it pretty well recently, the evil Blackout. I brought him up before.
Did he do dots?
I don't know what he did, but I think he got it done by the same guy I was just talking about, that Deckle
Oh, okay. Yep.
Como. I don't know how to say his name.
Well, there's like
Comeau. Right? Como?
DECKALMO.
I feel like you're just picking letters now.
It's something something around.
You're
that.
doing the alphabet wrong.
People watching will be able to find this guy. Anyway, he's only got, I think he's like 20,000 followers, but he's like next level for Blackout, and people come from all over the world to go see that guy. Yeah, he's probably one of the masters of that art form. He's been doing it for a very long time, and just kind of doing his thing. He's not really loud on social media, though. He just does his thing.
Those are my favorite guys.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're harder to find, but I think that's cool.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this in regards to the social media thing. And it's weird to live in a world, I think, because I'm trying to figure out where exactly I stand on social media and where my hang up is to like start growing my shit. And I think it's the fact that so many people are trying to pretend they're freaking rock stars nowadays.
Oh, I know. I hate
I think that's what pushes me away from like
gross.
giving it more attention than the bare minimum, because I don't want to be like pretending I'm something I'm not.
I think
ever.
tattoos in nature is a great idea.
I think I'm going to push more into that.
Yeah, well, but, okay.
And God forbid I start digging up old travel pictures. Like, I actually have so many epic adventures. I can be like, oh, here's
you
that
already
time.
are a character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's that time
are a
as
character.
on top of that waterfall in here doing the thing, and there's this crazy hike and shit.
Like,
you know?
everything that's sitting here in front of me is worth a follow. You know what I mean? Like,
I
you
don't
don't
start putting some shit out there, I guess.
Yeah, you don't have to be any more animated than you are.
But this is where, like, so you're an intelligent person, and you view it as there has to be more to it.
Yeah.
But some of the most successful people at this stuff in terms of the social media thing are doing just a window to their life.
That's it, yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people really resonate with that because they recognize the
kind of the more honest,
reality of it.
better.
But the window
sometimes.
into your life is still dishonest, you know, because it's like even the person putting their normal everyday shit up is still showing you kind of the good part of the day. It's not showing you the part of the 2 hours during that day where they were like kind of just having an existential moment.
I
I don't know about that. There's a dude, a tattooer, Ghost Keeper, who just had heart failure.
Oh shit!
And he was out for 3 days.
That
and he's
can
in
build
the hospital. And
that can build interest.
He was like as soon as he got conscious, he was like, "Hey, so guess what? This is what's going on in my life right now, and it's pretty terrible."
Yeah.
And it was like, I mean, it got my attention.
Yeah, of course.
Well, it's honesty,
talking
right?
About it right now.
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't have brought him up otherwise.
That's
How many
exactly
other
right.
people are having?
Yeah,
But he was just being honest, and it was one of those, like, he was still, like, being himself, being like, hey, man, I just want to bring still positivity while I'm here. I can't wait to...
I get more engagement when I get into a controlled, honest story. Like, so, like, when I tell the story of my dad, his, suicide, obviously I can control how I write that story, right? I can leave out pieces if I want to. But when I tell an honest story like that and write it well, nothing gets more interaction than that.
Because it's real.
I'm not saying I'm using his death to further myself.
No.
What I'm saying is it's an actual thing that happened to me that I can, like, by sharing it, other people resonate with that. Because they're like, I have a connection to this story, right? Rather than me going, here's a cool picture of me with some sunglasses on, with my hair blowing in the wind, you know?
Exactly.
No one wants to see that shit.
So it's that, and that's exactly the divide that I'm like trying to figure out how I feel comfortable walking it. You know,
that's where you have to draw your lines, like we were talking about with Rogan. Yes, he is pretty personable.
Yeah,
but there's a line there. I know there's a line there that he will not cross.
Yeah, of course.
He's got his he has much stricter ideas than I do.
Yeah,
about who I know who Remy is as a character and how I operate that.
Yeah.
We'll only touch certain things. I won't touch this thing, that thing. I know me on my level. I've got that. That means that he has that like 100-fold.
Yeah,
easily 100-fold. He has lines, and these are the things that
just
Rogan
personal
says.
rules. Yeah,
but then he goes home and he can talk about whatever he wants.
That's right.
You know.
Well, like something that we were talking about a long time ago, and I don't know if you ever heard what I was saying, but like I was trying to say you need to understand what other people find valuable.
Yeah.
But like the thing is, the things that you find valuable might be valuable to people out there.
That's right, precisely.
And that's where, like, when you're showing nature, when you're doing tattoos, like when you're just living your life, those are all things that are valuable to you, and that's going to resonate with a certain amount of the population in a way that's better than trying to plan out things to put on as like a facade for people.
Yeah.
And it comes to you naturally, so then whatever. You snap a photo, you put it up.
I should really dig through and find all the ghetto pictures of me tattooing in the jungle.
Yes.
I think
really
those
cool.
Yeah, like your origin story, that would go over very well.
I wonder, but can I post that? Because it's not a good environment.
Have you told social media about your stick poke beginnings?
No.
Right.
No, not at all.
So that's a problem. Because people find stick poke really interesting.
Yeah, but like the pictures are all
Doesn't matter.
So ghetto, buddy.
It doesn't matter.
So
What,
like
you're
you
in
put
the-
them up as
You're in the
stories.
forest in Cambodia, jabbing yourself with a needle. Like, that's cool.
You
oh,
don't
and
want
everybody
that on
else
your
on
portfolio.
gross, moldy cushions
Yeah.
with dogs wandering around and shit. Like, it's not good.
Sounds great. Anyway, don't put it on your portfolio then.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Don't
moral
put
of
that
the
as your
story,
main
though,
page.
Put it on
Is
your
when
story.
you're tattooing people in some like hostel on some balcony under the trees overlooking the Gulf of Thailand, everybody else is also taking a picture. So there's about 50,000 pictures of me doing these stick and poke tattoos in Cambodia, and I'm so interested.
That's a great story.
Can you imagine they all just showed up again someday?
They will,
Yeah.
if you let
Hey,
them.
remember that tattoo we reacted to the other day that was done on like a sofa or something? We had so much to say about that
the
terrible
sofa?
Someone
picture
tattooed
of
a
that
sofa?
tattoo.
No, it was just the photo was taken kind of like hanging off of a sofa.
Yeah.
And it was like the tattoo was good, so we didn't have much to say about it. And we were just like, whoa, what's in this room?
Yeah. What is this? How did they get this? They take it on a toaster?
Is that a cushion?
So we're going to put the tattoo beds out in the front to have people sit down while they're waiting for their tattoo. And now we're going to tattoo people on these couches, right?
Yeah.
Is that what's happening?
And then the couches are an NFT.
Yep.
That's how modern society works now.
Exactly, NFT. All the ink stains make them more valuable
exactly.
Yeah.
in non-fungible tokens.
No, when I was building up the Remy character too, it was like, okay, so I want to post pictures that are easy for me to get, and it's not easy for me to look like edgy and cool and badass, really. It's not. I can't do it. I don't feel good about it. So instead, I want to make this about family and stuff. And like, you know,
Worked for Fast and the Furious, man.
I know, but I can't be that guy. I find
It's
it
about
just.
family.
I know guys that do that, and I'm like, I've had conversations with them, and they're completely normal. And it's like, this is a really disingenuous product.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
on a core level, because you're not this picture. So like I needed to do something that was definitely within my wheelhouse. So it's like funny stuff, and here's a picture of me and my wife, and here's one of me and my son, and maybe one of me and my dog, and here's some tattoo progress. It just always felt like it was easier to do if it was something that I was doing anyway, rather than like,
That gave me an idea, actually, because you'll often post, like, now, 10 years ago.
yeah, for sure.
Right? So I could pretty
And
easily
people love those.
have a picture of me and my station sliced in with a picture of me and my station in Cambodia. Boom. Here's an origin story.
Yeah, there's lots
Sick.
of things you can do like
Sick.
that.
I'm going to play some of that game for sure.
People love those like then and now things.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
They can see how much progression you've made. People like that. It's aspirational.
and
It's
you
like,
think you didn't
I
have
could
contrast.
do something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I just think people, especially now that everything's fake, real resonates.
Yeah.
In a better way. Whereas, like, back in the day when everything was still scripted, that was getting presented to you, but nobody told you that it was being scripted.
That's right. When you watch
Right.
CBC News for 20 years
Or you
growing
watched
up.
reality TV and you didn't realize
no, I
that all of
didn't.
that was fake.
Yeah,
well,
no.
most people did, though. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't understand that there's a producer there being like, okay, let's take that again, but... You know what I mean?
I was like 15, 16 when Survivor came on. And everyone's going crazy. And I'm like, don't do that. That looks terrible.
Survivor?
Why are you watching this?
Oh, I'd love
Came
to do
out-
Survivor.
I'd love to do Survivor.
I think the first one was good. The
First one was great.
Started getting really
Except for-
wacky.
do you remember the car that they won?
Yeah.
Pontiac Aztec? Like, what a trash car to give away. Like, the
I
$1 million, okay, but, like,
Yeah.
just keep the car, man.
I mean,
Who wants
Ugh.
a Pontiac?
Who wants a Pontiac anything? And then who wants a Pontiac Aztec?
And it comes with a 2002 Sunfire.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, this is a piece of shit. Sweet.
So some reality TV was better than others, for sure. It got really derivative.
Oh, yeah.
There was a real wave that happened after Survivor where it was like everyone wanted to get a piece of that. Because it's like, oh, look at the numbers this is getting.
Yeah.
We need to do our own version of this. Some really bad stuff came out of that.
The beginning of clickbait.
Well, and not to mention, it's just a lot of editing, right? Like you're constantly filming.
Oh,
so
to
content
get
is coming
one episode
in.
of Survivor, how many hours of film and footage did they take?
Well,
there'd probably be several thousand hours of footage for 1 hour of content.
I've had quite a few of these types of things message me, like reality TV show type deals.
Seriously?
Like Judge Jerry.
God, you should be on Judge
Please
Jerry.
do some.
You should
I don't
be
know
a
what that
guest
is, but
bailiff
please
on
do some
Judge
reality.
Jerry.
They
It's
wanted
where
me to
Jerry
come on.
Springer is a judge, like Judge Judy on
Wait,
TV.
no.
That's a real thing.
That's what's happening. That's
oh,
the
yeah.
one.
If they offered you that, you should do it.
They
You
offered
should be a
me
guest
that.
bailiff or something like that.
I still have the email, but I'm in Canada. It's hard to travel right now.
I mean, that's fair.
And then
Not for long.
There was another one.
Love that.
What was it? There's this company that makes. They're called Barcroft, and they make all of these. They're like Lifetime specials, but they're on YouTube, and they have like millions of subscribers.
Yep.
And they do like their idea for me was to cover all my tattoos with makeup, right? They're gonna send people to my house and film with me for days to do it.
Why don't we just do that?
We should just do that.
That
But
could go viral
I was
easily.
going back and forth with this woman for weeks where she was like, are you free for a call Thursday morning? I'm like, yeah, okay, I can. And then 3 days later, sorry, I was busy. Can we call you this day? Sure. And then finally, she's a week later, sorry, we were busy with this thing again. Can we call you this day? And finally, I just
You're like, no, I'm good.
I don't need it that bad.
I had a consult like that during the second lockdown, the one back in December. There was this girl from Fort McMurray trying to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come down, get these tattoos from you. It's gonna be sweet. Let's have a consult. And we scheduled the consult like 5 times, and then the last time was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to consult with you.
Yeah, I don't need it that bad.
Yeah.
You've done enough now. It's time to go.
Because it'd literally be down to the wire of like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna jump in the shower and then call me in 15 minutes. Okay, cool. I can do that. 50 minutes later, nothing. Send her a message. Hey, I'm ready. And then 6 hours later, she's like, oh, sorry, my friend picked me up. And what the hell? Like, it's a 4-minute phone call.
Yeah,
Let's chill.
There's a lot of these companies that I'll get these days where I'm like I've signed content release waivers for a few different things in the last few months. One with Unilad and Lad Bible again. Mm-hmm. They wanted to make 2 of my TikToks into videos. Mm-hmm. And then I've never seen anything since. It's like they're just jet lagged or something forever. So why are you even asking then?
Well, it's so they've got it on tap.
It's fine though. Like, if you don't want to do it, it's cool. But
also, a media page that probably is someone's side hobby. They don't have good software.
These guys are
their content
huge, and they're spitting out post after post. So they have to just keep.
But that's the other
content,
thing, right? Like they're probably holding a video like that, signed waiver, for when it hits a certain level of consciousness for them to peak and capitalize on it, right?
Or hear me out, perhaps each agent within their company for collecting and gathering and creating content kind of work individually. So someone's kind of following your trail and they've got their little file of different content that they're going to bring forward to the editor. And then they finally brought yours forward and the editor was like, nah.
Yeah, that could be very well.
Yeah, or that guy ended up leaving for a different job, and then his cases just never got worked.
They're all great opportunities, but not one of them is make or break anymore.
Yeah.
Because like when I passed on the Ink magazine shoot 2 years ago, or it was that long ago, Lee was like, "You've got to go. You got to do everything you can. This is your chance." And it's like they've contacted me several times since. So like. I don't know if it was the only chance. I think they just keep coming as long as you keep yourself relevant. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But it's very easy to fall off that trajectory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just into the abyss you go.
Okay, so I have an idea, and we should do it, and I will talk about it afterwards.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Why is it not suited to the podcast?
Just in case we don't do it.
Oh, boy.
I might want to do it later. I might want to do it later. I want someone to steal it.
We're not reviewing more Christmas movies, are we?
Yeah, it's going to be a series of Christmas movies. It's going to be a series of Christmas movies, and it's all going to be weirder
And that's
It'll be
where
very
almost
confusing.
no one watching will even know what I'm talking about.
No.
Because that video was like, we were like worried it was going to go poorly. But what happened was no one watched it.
I mean, it went poorly in a different direction.
Yeah. We got like 3 dislikes and like 10 likes.
Worried about
one
too much
comment.
reaction.
Yeah.
Nope, just
Wow,
no reaction.
that was a lot of
That's a lot of
Epstein.
Epstein jokes.
Maybe the algorithm just heard Epstein enough times and just toned it the fuck out.
I still think it was a worthwhile endeavor.
I thought it was hilarious.
I mean, at the time, it felt like a waste of time.
Of course it did.
It was a waste of time.
It's no felt like.
But I'm still very satisfied with the outcome.
Yeah, 100%.
That was one of the biggest time wasters I've ever seen. And just the amount of effort it was, too.
It was like 10 hours.
I remember
like-
having like something else I should have been doing, and instead I spent 5 hours
now,
hanging around here.
when I think of that, it's like, imagine that process stretched out, and then you get Battlefield Earth.
Oh, my
Right?
God.
Like, that's how you get a bad movie. Everyone there thinks it's a bad idea, and it's a lot of labor.
Hey, I like Battlefield. That's John Travolta, right?
You
How do
liked
you like that
movie?
movie?
Oh yeah, I'm from
I don't think anybody liked that movie.
I'm from the sticks. No, that was a blast.
It is not a blast.
I like the premise entirely.
Rat brain.
Oh, crap, lousy ceiling.
They give him a rat to try to like
Yeah, as a
entice
reward.
him. Yeah. He's like,
God.
That's a Scientology movie.
He was in the...
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
of course it was.
Of course it was.
we
Why
put
wouldn't it
John
be?
Travolta
No, like legit. That's
in the
John
in
Travolta.
the Ernest review too.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy eyes.
But yeah, no, that's how you get a movie like that, where everyone involved is the whole time like, this is such a waste of time. Why are we doing this? Oh man, we're the only ones that are gonna like this.
No, I think it's a whole crew of going like, this will push Scientology forward.
You really
This'll
think
get us-
anyone there
This
thought
will
it
get
was
us to the
good?
next OT.
Like, I always wonder if anyone there thinks it's good.
Oh yeah, I guarantee you, so many people still do. I'm pretty sure
I
Forrest
guess
Whitaker.
Scott did.
Yeah.
Forrest Whitaker still
Poor
goes.
Forrest Whitaker.
I mean, I haven't watched
Not
these since
poor
I was
Forrest
18.
Whitaker. That
but
was like, that probably helped him out a lot. You know what I mean?
He's such a good actor, though.
Is he?
He's been good in a lot of things.
Is he? Star Wars? Did you watch him in Star
well,
Wars?
So that's not a good.
Star Wars. Most
not a good
overacted
show.
role ever.
Did you ever see The Last King of Scotland?
No.
Okay, well that's really.
Oh yeah.
That's like his best movie, probably.
Gotcha.
That's all on him. His
Yeah.
merits alone run that movie. So that's how I usually judge it. If you have an actor that's had like their standalone drama that's really strong and impressive work, like that can kind of make up for their stinkers to some degree.
Oh man, I don't know. Like I feel like acting can be like 2 lanes. It can be like you in a movie with a different name, or you're actually an actor. You know what I mean? Like
Johnny
Chris,
Depp is a perfect example.
Well-
He became a caricature of himself.
Yeah. Like
He's Jack Sparrow and everything now. Well, not anymore.
no.
But
Well, yeah.
you know,
But like,
What happened to him?
let's
got
not
canceled.
get into it.
Oh, cool.
yeah, he got canceled.
It's a long
It's everybody. Everybody
Oh,
gets
yeah, whatever.
It's a
canceled.
long, very volatile story that's really gotten people like angry at one another online.
Oh, good.
'Cause
everything
some
does
people
now,
are
right?
in the other person's court, and some are in his court, and it's, you know,
Yeah.
Anyway.
it's a trail of abuse. Let's say. that.
yeah.
Anyways, but it's like, you've got your like say Chris Hemsworth, Thor.
Yeah.
Is he ever really not just Chris Hemsworth?
I mean, he's
He's
just that dude.
He's just that dude.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise. He's just that dude. Every single time, it's like, oh, Tom Cruise is in this.
Except when he was like, well, I guess I do
name me a-
remember it
name
that
me a
way.
movie when he's acting.
Interview with a Vampire. When
Still
he's
Tom Cruise.
Lestat, but it's like, is this really Lestat? Or
No,
is it
he's
Tom
not.
Cruise,
It's Tom Cruise.
screaming at Brad
Yeah.
Pitt?
Legit.
Now that I think about it, that movie was very much Brad Pitt
Yeah.
and Tom Cruise.
Well, Brad Pitt's a good example of that too. When's he not Brad Pitt?
yeah, and that's an old movie too.
Yeah.
Snatch.
That might be his only acting role.
I was just
Like,
thinking, like,
when you said Brad Pitt, that's the first one that popped in
well,
mind. And
Interview with the
Inglourious
Vampire
Basterds.
was
Yeah,
he
but
was-
that's
he was
Brad
still,
Pitt,
He was
man.
still Brad Pitt. Yeah,
And
what
then
am I
he's in-
saying?
he- like,
He was-
the accent
He was
changes,
just Brad
but
Pitt with an
that's Brad
accent.
Pitt.
That's all
once
that
you
was.
Then
become
he's in
famous,
Fury,
it-
he's
it's
Brad
hard.
Pitt.
I
Yeah.
think. I think once you're famous, it's
Oh yeah,
hard to
because
be.
you're just so known.
Yeah.
You can't
Well,
just
and
do that.
and because people are contracting you and paying you the big bucks to bring that character. So you're like, okay, I got a patented character. Let's roll.
Think about a real actor, Daniel Day-Lewis, real actor.
Hmm.
Because who is he? no idea. But he's I just think Bill the Butcher is definitely not
Kevin
Daniel
Spacey.
Day-Lewis. No, Kevin Spacey I think is always Kevin Spacey. Him in Horrible Bosses, that's Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Him in Seven, that's also Kevin Spacey.
Again, see, I think my problem is I'm just taking the best work and going.
Sure, yeah,
right?
selective, right?
American Beauty was an amazing movie.
But that's still Kevin. That's Kevin Spacey.
Sure, but I love
And it's
that
more
movie.
Kevin Spacey than we understood.
Oh, I know,
previously.
right?
Isn't he canceled
Isn't
now
that
too?
funny how that Matt
yeah.
song
Oh, yeah.
to the day? He was actually that.
Well, just like Frank Underwood, that's him.
if you watch American Beauty today after
haven't watched
knowing
it?
what you know,
Oh,
have you
should.
seen American Beauty?
No.
Do you know
creepy.
what happened with Kevin Spacey?
Yes.
That's
it's,
life
that's
imitating
some
art.
pedophilia stuff.
Yeah, he got accused of a
Sorta.
lot of it, and
More about
the weirdest thing is that all the people that have accused him have died.
Oh.
All of them. There's not one living now.
which is more akin to his role on the Netflix show.
Yeah.
What was it?
House of Cards.
House of Cards.
Oh.
I only watched the first season, but
The first season's phenomenal.
yeah,
Like it's a phenomenal.
I meant
show.
to watch more, but I heard it got really bad after he left.
Well, because what are you supposed to do with that? They built this whole story arc of this Frank Underwood character rising to power, and then they had
Anytime
they
the
had to
main
write him off
character leaves
immediately.
the show, just
yeah, good
stop.
luck. Just
Yeah.
stop. But it did work kind of well one time. I don't know if you ever watched Spartacus.
Oh yeah, that was a tough one, and they still managed to kind of squeak it out.
They still managed to squeak it out because they had a good supporting cast,
Yeah.
and it was kind of like, well, Spartacus, the main character himself,
Yeah.
wasn't my favorite character anyway. I think my favorite character was probably either Crixus or Aeneas.
Yeah, Crixus seems to be everybody's.
the slave master gladiator
Yeah.
Aeneas. He was really cool too.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of cool stuff in that show, so it was like
Yeah.
it's okay.
There's one that I don't know how they're going to address, which is the Black Panther. What's that guy's name again?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. It's on the tip of my tongue. He
Yeah, I
just
know.
lost the award to Anthony Hopkins, and everyone was upset about that
Yeah.
because he died.
Yeah.
Chadwick
Boseman.
That's it.
Yeah. Like I don't know how they're going to treat that because like he was great. In
Yeah.
that role. Absolutely great, and I don't know who you would possibly replace him with.
Deaths are hard to address.
Yeah.
Because that's the same thing that happened in Spartacus too. The actor died.
Yeah.
Right. And the more famous an actor gets, the harder it is. Like
Yeah.
look at what happened with Heath Ledger and the Joker.
Oh yeah.
And then
Then Tom Hardy did a great job, and everyone hated it.
Tom Hardy. It was Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh no, the movie after Heath Ledger,
Oh,
where it was,
Bane.
Yeah, when Bane came in, it was
Yeah.
just like, even though he did the best that he could possibly do,
Yeah.
everybody hated it because it wasn't Heath Ledger.
I think those movies were great.
Yeah, they were.
But I don't know if you've seen the Joker, the new one.
Yep.
But
very good.
I liked that Joker way more.
That was way more gritty. Like I'm all about the
We-
gritty. Like the Bane one, I didn't care for that movie at all.
Why?
Saw it once, never watched it again. Not interesting. The premise didn't appeal to me in the least.
I just love Tom Hardy, man.
But the new
I
Joker
liked
following
all of them.
Joaquin Phoenix through a
Yeah.
twisted tale of dementia, it's like reminiscent of Taxi Driver.
oh yeah, 100%.
Like in Taxi Driver,
Yeah.
I don't even like Taxi Driver.
Well, it is that movie.
Oh yeah,
But it does it's that movie with the climactic ending.
exactly.
I will say, like, Sarah and I watched Joker just the other night again because I was like, that was a great movie. I want to watch it again.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I don't know if I could watch it again.
Well,
Oh, I will.
it plays different when you watch it the second time because
Oh,
you know
yeah.
certain things are coming, and you're like,
Maybe I should watch it again.
you're kind of you're doing the math as you go a little bit because you're like, this thing, that wasn't real. Like you're kind of like,
He imagined.
and then
this.
I want to believe that some amount of it was true, even though it's kind of
It's whatever they
explaining
want it to be.
that it might not, maybe none of it happened.
Yeah,
Like,
it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal storytelling because we have no idea.
yeah, but there were some really great moments.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's just Ali.
Like really, really, there was I think 2 or 3 moments where I was literally clapping in the theater, not loud, but like, oh man, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Like at the part at the end, you get what you fucking deserve,
Yeah.
pal. When he kills Bruce
Robert De Niro.
Wayne's father,
Yep. Oh yeah.
and then when he shoots the talk show guest before that, and then when he gets his smile, like
Yeah.
there were just so many huge moments.
Oh yeah.
Where you're like, oh my god, the payoff is just so good. You don't see that in movies many times anymore.
Well, it's because like
So much setup, and then you get so much reward.
I think that character gives the excuse to do something that is not usually allowed. Because that movie, in a number of ways, it's like there's a few movies like that. Like Uncut Gems is a good example of that, in my opinion.
I still haven't seen it. We talked about
Worth
that.
it, man. Worth it.
But I gotta start writing some of these things down.
It's just
because I watched Synchronic based on your guys' recommendations.
And what'd you think?
That was pretty great, actually.
Right?
The ending was disappointing.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how they could have done it.
The setup and the payoff were there.
Yeah.
Like each time something happened, you're like, oh, that paid off.
Yeah.
That was actually very rewarding.
Yeah, it was weird.
I enjoyed that.
It was weirdly well executed for what it was.
Yeah. And there's still some like loopholes in the premise and dialogue, but you're like, I can get past that.
Yeah.
Because the payoff was sweet, and it was obvious that this small thing had to be let go of to get to the next phase in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Totally in.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, me too. I thought it was really cool.
You just said?
Well,
Joker.
Uncut Gems.
What you can get away with a character like Joker. That's where you were going.
Yeah. It's just, I think when you have a character like that that's so iconic, you can do a movie like that and get away with all of those things that are normally going to be a detractor from a movie. But it's like that they're housed within that character in himself. So you can do all those things and it all makes sense. Because we all understand who Joker is, like kind of character, like archetypically.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, when he starts doing things that are Joker-like,
well, the lore is so deeply ingrained in our memory from childhood.
Yeah,
right. Like we've all seen these weird old cartoons and bullshit that contain this guy's personality.
There were so many things in there that could resonate to different people differently, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, some of my favorite moments were when he says they deserve to die because they're awful, and then he goes, "Not everyone's awful." And he's like, "You're awful." He's like, whoa. Like, how often will someone just say that to someone, right? Where it's like, everyone thinks these things, but no one ever says them.
Yeah.
And here's Joker, he's just saying that out loud.
But this is the thing, like, that character makes it so you can produce a movie that touches on all those uncomfortable things in a way that, like, an audience will accept. Whereas if you just make that story a normal person, that's such a loathsome person to make a story about. Whereas Joker, it's like you spend that whole movie knowing where he's going.
Yeah.
Right? You know what's going to happen. You know what the Joker becomes. You know the root of evil, and you're still you still have this like pity, hope for this person, and it's because you know this route that he's going to go down, and all those situations you're just like, man, I really hope he kind of pulls it out. Even though you know exactly where he's headed.
A Batman movie with no Batman.
Well,
it's not a Batman movie.
Exactly.
It might not connect to any of that at all.
Yeah,
right?
perfect. Great.
Like the character's technically in the movie, but not yet.
Really?
So he's alluded to the idea that wasn't the Joker.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so
interesting.
Todd Phillips is a bit of a genius.
Huh.
Yeah, exactly. It was really, really open to interpretation.
Oh, yeah.
They're making a second one, and I don't know how they're going to pull that off.
Well, so he said that it might be just another story.
Yeah, that's what I figured they should do.
Great.
Just
Might have
another
nothing to do
origin
with
story.
anything.
Great.
Yeah.
Just this is another way that the Joker could come.
Yeah.
Right?
What, you mean a sequel is not the best way?
Yeah, weird, right?
Funny.
Well, so eventually, if I understand it correctly, this new Batman that's coming out, the Robert Pattinson
Yeah, the
one?
Joker will be in his universe.
Yes. But the actual Joker, whatever that thing is in terms of its connectivity. And it might not have nothing to do with it, too. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that's the cool thing about this movie is that he created all of these question marks.
I like... But
As
I
a Joker
like,
movie should.
I got burnt out
well,
on...
that's a Riddler movie, really.
I got burnt out on all
that's
the
what I was thinking
Marvel
of for
hero movies. So when I see this movie, and another good one that comes to mind is Logan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Logan was great.
Old man Logan movie. Those are good superhero movies for me.
Yeah,
where it's not like
well, the dialogue
so
is
hammy.
believable. Yeah, they're not jumping out of a flying car into a helicopter.
It's too much for me now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I loved that stuff when it first started.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, okay, just another one of these schlock fests.
Yeah.
And the humor's always kind of the same. The love story's always hammered in there somehow.
I still love those movies.
Well, but yeah, they're good movies. The formula is just so hammered out.
And if you watch enough of them, you're used to the your suspension of disbelief is a routine in your mind.
Yeah.
Whereas like Rowan tried to show me Supergirl or Wonder Woman or one of those kind of things, and I got 20 minutes in, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's
man,
the
that
exact
latest-
reaction.
I know
That
you
latest
love this.
Wonder Woman was tough.
I
I heard it was terrible.
Like I know you love this character and this movie works for you, but I have zero interest in another second of this.
Well, it's not for you.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
literally that movie's not
I can't
for you.
do them anymore either, so I'm completely understand.
But so I'll say this: whatever they did with Infinity War was amazing, because I left that movie angry at the world.
Good.
Like
That's a pro.
Effective storytelling.
Well, I remember because we were on tour somewhere, and we had like an afternoon off. So my brother and I were like, "Well, let's go see Infinity War," and he had seen it and I hadn't seen it, and he was just like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Well, we should see it," and that ruined my day. Because like it ends with everyone losing, right? Like they lose, and it's like you just spent 3 hours getting invested with
stories like that, where the bad guys win.
Yeah,
I love it because it's like too often
how the world actually works.
Well, but also too often the heroes just smash the bad guy, and it's like, well, why is he so scary if you just beat him so easily?
Or they spend hours fighting each other, and it's all so evenly matched, and the rules don't make any sense. And all of a sudden, they just win, and it's like, we did it, and like, we're going here the whole time. What's happening?
Yeah, it's like the train is headed to this station.
Yeah,
we're just gonna get there.
Way back when I was very young, me and my brothers played the game Final Fantasy VI.
Oh yeah.
And in that game, the villain, halfway through the game, basically wins. He destroys the whole world and creates a monument to himself. And on top of this thing, he has a laser that can like destroy anyone that opposes him. So it's like everyone is suppressed and under his thumb. And it's when you are playing the second part of the game, it's almost like you have to like slowly kind of build up again and rise up and destroy him. But like it's a real bleak landscape, and it's one of the best stories I've ever seen, because it's just like, how often does the villain actually win? Like it doesn't happen. The hero always just smashes the villain.
Yeah.
There's no real like threat. It's always like good always triumphs over evil. It's like, no, it's fun to see bad triumph over good sometimes.
I think this is why I enjoy post-apocalyptic so much.
That's
as a
what
genre,
this came to.
Because evil is already won. Whether it was the tornado,
you have every reason
or
to
the
give up
nuclear holocaust, whatever. Exactly. Like the evil has already triumphed of one sort or another. Now you're working through the scraps.
Yeah, I had that villain, the one on my leg as a portrait. It's the one tattoo that I wanted Lee to do, but there was no reference for him as a real portrait. So that's the one that I got the other guys to do, and they photoshopped it together. And it was like a work of, because the character is based on Joker, ironically.
Really?
Yeah. So they used a reference of Joker and used this character's artwork and mapped him onto Joker and built from that. It was really interesting to watch.
Yeah.
But I enjoy stories like that where it's like there's no good reason to even try. It's a bleak landscape, boy. Yeah. There's nothing left here to live for.
Times is tough.
And you don't know how the hell you're gonna do this thing, but then you pull it together.
Yeah.
Because how many of us have actually had to do something like that?
Exactly.
Fight an evil villain?
No, but like, well, yeah, in a way.
Yeah, sure.
Because it could even be introspective, right?
But start as the full underdog, where like especially in our industrialized nation lifestyle, it's like, how often have you gone hungry or not known where your next meal is coming from, or right? So you're putting yourself into this next level of challenge where even the bare essentials are up for debate.
Yeah, scarce.
Yeah, scarcity defines the day.
Yeah. And yeah, like I said, you have every reason to just roll over and die at that point, but you find it within you to continue. Those are good stories, and I think we need more of that kind of thing. And I think Joker, the movie, had that kind of a feel where it's like, this guy has nothing and no one, and yet he's going to rise to power. And so even though he's the bad guy, you end up rooting for him to win.
Well, I don't know if you end up rooting for him to win. You end up rooting for him, and he wins in the way that he wants.
Yeah.
Which, like, that's not necessarily what you're rooting for, but it's like one of those like you want to see him progress, and what he progresses into is negative.
What I found interesting about the effect that movie had on people is the people who didn't get it, they took it in a different way.
Yeah,
they were like,
yeah.
oh, this is, this thing, and that doesn't really happen to people like that, and this, it's like, no, you're missing the art here.
Yeah,
That's
you really
right.
are.
Yeah, way to pick it apart logically. That's not the point.
Yeah, like this way to destroy something good.
Yeah.
So I guess what we're getting at here is that here in episode 51 of the Remy Show, we're announcing the
Or
commencement
2
of the Remy movie, which will be a post-apocalyptic thriller featuring some superheroes who die in the first 8 minutes, and the evil overlord becomes the protagonist and has to take down all of the innocent people who are threatening his reign.
Sounds like a decent movie.
It does sound like a decent movie.
Let's roll.
On this note, I had someone ask me why I'm not with an agent and seeking modeling
Wow.
modeling opportunities. Not
Because you live in
modeling
Lethbridge,
opportunities,
that's why.
acting opportunities. That's
Yeah,
what-
yeah.
I was
can
like,
get him in
I
front of
don't
an
want to
agent right now.
act.
Yeah, why would you?
Why would I want to go down that avenue?
Not to mention, like, what are they
It's
going to
$2
give you?
million
They're going to give
movie.
you an extra role, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be like, you're this guy standing next to this
Yeah,
guy.
how could I? I would
He's
never
gonna
be
the front desk guy at a
You get
tattoo
$26
shop in that
an
one
hour.
scene.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
not going to be a good role, but
They might fly you to Minnesota for the shot.
Yeah.
That's
I hear
it.
No,
things
it'll
like
probably
that.
be
It's
paying
like-
for your airfare.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, that's it.
That's all tax deductible, so when you're making...
It's not a good avenue for
Yeah,
me. But
yeah.
I'm already working 6 days a week. We're doing 3 YouTube videos a week. I'm a father. I'm married. I own a house. I'm doing 5 Instagram posts a week. All
You're gonna
these
become a
TikToks
piercer?
a week. I'm thinking about the piercing thing, right? Like, it's just like sometimes it's like, how the fuck do I want to fit more into that?
Yeah. Well, plus it's always going to be underwhelming. You might even just get cut out.
Oh, of course.
Like, do you ever see that movie that Brendan Schaub's in? Yeah, exactly.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so Brendan Schaub's he's off a podcast, The Fighter and the Kid. He used to be in the UFC. He's a big dude.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Anyways, there's this movie, The Tax Collector, with Shia LaBeouf, which is just a piece of trash. And
What a shock.
yeah, I know, but
He's put out a lot of crap.
It's David Ayer that did it, so that's the guy who did Training Day. So it's like this big movie, and Brendan Schaub's in it, and he gets to set, and they put a mask over him and a cowboy hat. You have no idea who he is. And he was just like, I'm in this David Ayer movie. I'm Training Day #2, and you don't see him once. He's just a figure.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like, oh, okay, well.
Why even have him then?
Because he fits the profile of a large person.
That's why it's funny to listen to an actor.
It's like, oh, he's 6'3" and 260 pounds. Okay.
It's
We
funny
need
to
a
listen-
large dude.
Listen to
Get this guy.
podcasts where there's actors talking about you just got to really get out there and put the work in.
Yeah, you know what? I don't want to ever listen to actors'
This wistful
podcasts.
because 98% of actors can't put food on the table. They're like working and grinding and trying to get in commercials and all this shit, and they're making $14,000 a year. So
As a waiter.
you can listen to the less than 1% who actually get successful. Be like, yeah, you just got to put the time in and get in the effort.
There's a lot of luck.
Motherfucker, no.
Yeah.
There's a lot of luck that
Well,
goes in.
luck and skill, sure.
What I love is like
Or it doesn't
actors
seem like a good life.
are generally very, very checked out. We've talked about this before
Yeah.
from the stuff that they create.
Yeah.
Sean Bean, the guy who played Ned Stark in Game of Thrones,
Or Boromir.
Or Boromir.
Same role.
Same role. But anyway, I seen an article the other
You're
day.
gonna die in this movie.
He just recently found out how Game of Thrones ended.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
He's just like, oh, that's kind of weird. You were in this show.
Well, but like, what was it?
It's been over for 2 years.
That Jesse Eisenberg guy.
Yeah.
He said he never watches any of his movies.
At all?
I would.
At all.
How do you critique your own shit?
I watch
Well,
these podcasts.
Okay, so but his theory was like, well, I'm never gonna see them in the way that
No.
the people that are intended to see it are going to see it. So for him, it's like he's like, I could try and critique myself, but I'm never going to be able to view myself through the lens of a new person, like of who it's intended for, right? It's like, which I can kind of get.
I can get. You
Kind
can't
of.
see yourself from an objective standpoint.
Because, like, think about it. If you go and you critique yourself, how do you know that what you're critiquing is going to make it better? in the eyes
Fair.
of the Joe
You
average.
can't prove that, but you could think, how could I do better in the future?
But what? Okay, but what does better mean? Because he could look at a performance and go, "That was trash," and it gets the best ratings, the best reviews, and the public loves it. And then all of a sudden, his opinion as to how to make himself better is incorrect.
Okay, well here's a fun.
So does he go to the extent of, I just have to get this in, would he go to the extent of he goes into someone's house and they're watching the movie and he has to leave?
Probably. Yeah, probably. Because
That's absurd.
But that's like, you know, I kind of get it.
Be here.
I kind of get it. It's like, you know, I did the thing. Now it's for everybody else. Like, I didn't make it for me to watch. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, you know, I think a lot of people get too hung up on trying to critique the things that they did, but the public is going to critique it, and that's going to be the arbiter of success in it.
Conversely, I've watched 2 episodes of the Remy Show, and in that time I was like, oh man, I shouldn't laugh into the mic like this, ha ha ha. And basic shit like that.
Yeah,
you know,
reasonable.
so there's a couple small critiques that you can identify on your own. You know,
Yeah, I leave that for the comments.
because there's
And then I'll-
things that
I'll just look at
here,
the comments and go like, what do I need to change?
Fair.
Oh, there was the one comment one time back in like episode 20s
Mm-hmm.
where they were like, you and the bald guy always run Kevin over.
Seems likely.
You cut him off all the time. You
Yeah.
should stop that.
Yeah, whatever. It's not
part
like
of the
it.
game.
I was like,
not like what I
oh
have to say
shit,
is really
did we do
interesting.
that?
We just did it twice
Yeah.
in the last 4
It
seconds.
just happened multiple times.
I think we all just cut through each other though.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what happens when you get 3 guys together.
The 3-guy podcast is gonna do that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, if we were all wearing headphones, it'd be different.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, because then it'd be right. Ah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think it's as natural of a conversation.
Oh no.
You know what I
not
mean?
at
Because
all.
it's like,
Feels staged.
It's like trying to have a conversation on Skype when you're like, no, you talk. I'll wait for you. No, you talk. Oh no, and then you spend 4 minutes where the person's just trying to explain
I
that they're
did a
done
lot of
talking
that
now.
at one point in my life.
Oh,
a lot
it's
of
the
Skype.
worst.
This was
I hate
before
it.
FaceTime was really a thing.
I
Oh
hate
yeah.
it.
And like we had like a little bit of lag delay.
Mm-hmm.
So like you would be seeing the person mouthing before their sound would come through.
I was living in Mexico like barely after the phase of dial-up, and literally you make a voice call.
What were you doing
over
for
Skype.
work at that time?
I mean, as a preacher down there.
I was working for the consulate.
I was
and
the preacher. Okay.
Yeah, as a preacher.
Shit.
So you make a voice Skype call, and there's literally a 3 or 4 second lag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just at the time, like, this is cutting edge technology. I'm in a different country, and we're talking on the internet, but still unbearable.
You say that, but in 10 years it'll be like Skype. I just teleported there for a few minutes.
I sent my hologram over. It was great.
Yeah.
I have several clones of myself that go different places.
Yeah. That
I
wasn't
could use a clone
actually
some
me.
days.
That was one of my doubles.
Yeah.
Who
Just like
went places with
multiplicity.
me. I take it out of the closet when I need to access it.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. Technology is weird.
We're getting into cool places, but it's also like, man, I don't know.
I don't know how much farther I want
I think
to
more
go.
dangerous than cool is where we're going next.
Yeah.
Well, there's some stuff that's cool, but like, it could be real dangerous. It's like the double-edged sword kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't know how much of it's going to be for the good of all mankind, or if it's just going to be like, oh, okay, well, this is how we end.
Time for an AI episode.
Well, even just like, so they're doing this. I'm really trying to keep up on this fusion reactor thing that's going on.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And the France one, they said they're 75% complete
Okay.
of this fusion reactor, that the magnetic field will hold this thing
The
in,
plasma.
and I guess it works, but they have some more stuff to do.
But
in
don't
terms
China
of
already
getting
have first fire? Or first
No,
plasma?
this is a commercial grade one.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Like a
this is
functional
not.
one.
Well, that would be able to start putting in the infrastructure to use it, right?
Wow.
Not just like, oh, we tested it. Because like, there's
Jeez.
tons of places like L.A., like the MIT, I think, has one that is first. That I think they were first to it, and then China did one after. And
Yeah.
China has the world record for the hottest temperature. But
Yeah.
anyways, this thing weighs 1,000 tons.
Of course.
And I just keep thinking like, okay, that's sweet if everything goes perfect, or that destroys all of France.
Win-win?
You know what I mean?
Why are we destroying
We need wine.
France?
We need wine and cheese.
Yeah, we sure do.
But like, it's like they're creating a small
Come on,
sun.
Bal.
They're creating a small sun that is going to be held together by a magnetic field that they're producing with electricity.
From electricity produced from the small sun.
Yes.
Oh.
Like, so one of those things fails, and you've got a big ball of energy that is just on our planet that's hotter than the current than our sun. Like, I don't know how you like that seems so cool, and then also like, oh, so this is how we go.
Maybe it'll make a very large crater and a new kind of like tropical storm front that turns it into a lake. It'll be a reservoir of fresh water for a large portion of the Eastern world.
See, you are the pessimist. Listen to Scott.
guess. Yeah.
There's a silver lining here.
He's like, when
In
France
place of
is
France,
gone,
we're gonna have a very large,
it'll be a
healthy
nice lake.
with crystal clear fresh water to feed nations.
Except
when
for
water
that it'll
We
be a
will remember
nuclear lake.
France and its sacrifice.
Well,
Yeah.
is the radiation produced from this?
It's fusion, yeah, of course.
What's that look like?
Well, the sun. Take a look at the sun. What kind of radiation comes off of the sun?
Touche. A lot of kinds.
Yeah.
Many kinds of
Yeah,
radiation.
a lot of it, and
Okay,
it
I
comes
gotcha.
through our ozone layer in order to get to us in a place that doesn't kill us.
Yes.
So
yes.
take
Okay.
away all that, and let's
Cool.
see how we do.
Yeah, when you put it that way, it's incredible that life exists at all.
At all.
Yeah.
It's like really wild.
Yeah. Ha. Cool.
Yeah, I know.
Water vapor is really important
And
to
let's
us.
just put a bunch of suns around the planet to make it so we can get power.
Yeah,
Don't
that
worry,
doesn't
that,
sound.
that way when any post-apocalyptic event occurs, we'll all die at the same time.
Oh, that's fair.
As soon as
That's as indiscriminate as it gets.
Safety fails.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking for, an indiscriminate end to everything.
I don't know why you keep asking for
There's
it.
no one to be upset with that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can be upset for a split second at
I would
the guy
say,
who
like-
made it.
Yeah.
Like, if you get specifically targeted by someone who knows you, like, that's more hostile, right?
See, but that would be like you get mad at the guy who like phoned in his day that day, being like, "Yeah, I did all the safety checks. It's fine.
Yeah.
It was fine
That's
yesterday."
human error. You chalk that up to human error.
Yeah, and that
he
guy's
didn't
gonna
mean
be
to kill
really
anyone.
that guy's gonna be really embarrassed for like half a second.
Yeah, he'll feel the
Aw.
most embarrassment
I'm
ever.
so sorry I killed us all.
Oh, and then
Yeah. See, he doesn't have to live with that for long.
no.
Right? But, like, I always think that the worst way to go is if someone comes after you specifically
Why
to
is it
kill
the
you.
worst?
Because there's all this hatred and animosity
You don't like the
built
bad
up.
energy around it.
Yeah, the bad
juju.
energy.
Yeah.
Well, I would rather be eaten by a bear.
But see, there's
I would not. Still am holding true to I would not rather be eaten by a bear,
compared to what?
no matter what Scott says.
compared to the assassination.
Oh
right?
yeah, fair. But see, there's more meaning in the
The bear
intentional
doesn't have any bad
assassination
vibes towards
versus
you.
just getting like if you just get jumped like this is Lethbridge. If you get jumped by some
Wild man.
some wild man.
Speaking of which, I don't mean to detract. We'll get right back to it. But a guy
Getting
right
jumped
back
in
to it.
Lethbridge.
a guy who comments on the podcast every week commented something yesterday about the wild man, and I went to look at the comment, and it doesn't show up, and it's not held either. So like some comments are held for you to like permit them to be seen,
Yeah.
but that comment just vanished, and I don't think he deleted it either. It's like there's certain stuff you're not allowed to say on YouTube anymore.
Well, there is. There's a whole list.
It just vanished.
yeah.
I was like, "Where's his comment?"
That's
I'm
community guidelines.
He'll
right?
listen to this podcast. I know he will because he comments on every one. And he'll be like, oh, that's why he didn't respond.
So, I would be interested to know what he wrote.
Yeah, well, it started off, he said something like this. So, new dream guest, have the feral wild man. And then I went to click on it. And then the whole comment was not there.
Wow.
Crazy.
So, anyway, Lethbridge.
Well,
Oh,
I
there's
just
more-
heard another story that my uncle's a therapist, and he said that one of his clients got stabbed downtown
Yeah. That's what I'm talking
with a
about.
syringe.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That seems like a far more meaningless. Well, not getting stabbed by a syringe, but getting like if some random person super high on drugs just jumps you and takes your life. That's far less meaningful than someone who has an actual vendetta against you.
Yeah, like a long gun from a trained sniper that's coming after you.
You can chalk that up to human
That's
error
cool.
once again. If a random wild man kills you,
Yeah.
it's less personal.
Let's start calling the homeless population in our town wild men.
Well, I don't know a better word.
That will not go over well.
I don't. Well, what's a good word? What do you even say?
I believe they would say disenfranchised.
Disenfranchised. That
I was using
still
vagrant for a while,
sounds
but I don't
bad.
think that's good either.
No, because that's, again, it's viewed. That term is viewed pejoratively.
Yeah.
Disenfranchised. That whole word has more of an empathetic feel to
Big
it,
time, big
which
time.
our culture seems to love.
I don't know
Yeah,
how
use
long it's going to
disenfranchised
be
more.
before that word isn't good anymore.
Oh, it's coming soon. Guarantee.
Because I don't feel
That
like
means
it's
that there are people that are enfranchised.
Yeah, I don't think that it's as safe a word as you think. I've heard people get upset at that term.
Seriously, that's what
What
it'll
does
be.
that mean?
Yeah.
What's normal?
Yeah.
Like, you get that whole thing. Like, well, what makes him worse than you? It's like, I'm trying to say I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Why
That-
do you feel bad for him?
That whole idea would be
Just
can be
stop
produced in a negative result as well.
I just don't say anything.
Pretty well. That'll be where we get.
Yeah.
Because
We're gonna
now
have
I can't even voice concern.
It'll just be us three sitting here being like,
Oh, we'll talk about movies more. It's gonna be fine.
no, that'll all be problematic too. It's gonna happen. Because like
We'll talk about what brands of tattoo ink we prefer, but only the colored. No, you can't even say
preference-
colored ink.
preference
Okay,
is gonna
we're
be
out.
preference is gonna be a problem too. Just having personal preference is gonna be an issue
Here's a fun one.
because it's selection, and we have a real hard time with.
We have
Weird,
a
difficult,
meal on our
specific
menu
things.
that we don't have anymore because it was a problematic name. We had
I
a
want it.
Mexican scrambler.
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
There's no more Mexican
Meanwhile, South Park is still in the air.
Well, but South Park is
existing on its own terms.
They're also like, that's its intent. It's known, right? Like when you're a restaurant and you're just trying to produce a food item, and like then all of a sudden it's not like your intention to be
Edgy.
or tongue in cheek or whatever. It's like, well, it's like with South Park, it's just like, oh, they're doing what they're doing.
Well, it's
I mean, our racist food.
it's
I love
also,
it.
it's like
Come into
assuming
Hitler's.
that if you're in Mexico, what you'll eat is eggs, beans, beef, and jalapenos.
they have a name for it. It's called huevos rancheros, and it's delicious.
Oh, I know. That's not on our menu either
I know.
anymore.
You should though.